I, a professional kidnapper, had successfully abducted the daughter of the richest man in the city. The $10 million ransom had just hit my account, and I was ready to release the hostage. But instead of running, she was clinging to my leg, sobbing into the phone, screaming at her father. "Dad, if you don't let him marry me, I'll have him kill me right now." Wait a minute, this isn't how the script goes. Send me the account number. 10 million, not a penny less. The voice on the other end of the line was deep and steady, devoid of emotion, as if negotiating a standard business deal rather than his daughter's life. I gripped the voice changer, lowered my pitch, and tried my best to sound like a desperate, hardened criminal. Remember, no cops. Once the money clears, I release the girl. If you try anything funny. My threat was cut short by the hostage at my feet. Chloe Sterling, the only daughter of New York's wealthiest tycoon, Arthur Sterling, was looking up at me with wide, tear-filled eyes. But they weren't filled with fear, they were filled with adoration. "Did you hear that? My man said, don't try anything funny." Silence on the other end. Silence on my end. "Lady, you're the hostage. Can you have a little professional dignity?" I had transmigrated into this world, inheriting this body's memories. The original owner was a broke, desperate man buried under a mountain of debt. To pay off the astronomical gambling debts, I planned what I thought was the perfect kidnapping. The target, the legendary spoiled, unruly heiress, Chloe Sterling. The kidnapping process had been suspiciously smooth. I had just finished scouting the spot outside her favorite dessert shop in Manhattan when she crashed into me. Ouch! She face-planted right in front of me. Her limited edition handbag flew into the air, and her brand new iPhone screen shattered into a spiderweb. Before I could react, she looked up, her sparkling eyes scanning me from my cheap jacket to my faded jeans. Finally, her gaze locked on my face. She blushed and whispered, "You have to take responsibility for me." I was stunned. What kind of scam was this? "Miss, you ran into me." "I don't care." She scrambled up, dusted herself off, and put her hands on her hips with righteous indignation. "You blocked my path, caused me to fall, and broke my phone. You have to compensate me." Passers-by started pointing and whispering. My head was pounding. "Fine, I'll pay." I pulled out the only $200 I had in my pocket. "Is this enough?" She looked at the crumpled bills in my hand. Instead of getting angry, her eyes lit up. She snatched the money, then grabbed my arm with surprising strength. "Not enough. This only covers a screen protector. You, come with me." And just like that, I was kidnapped by her and led to an abandoned warehouse in Queens. This was the new home I had originally prepared for her. On the way, she chattered nonstop. "What's your name? You look so cool. Are you broke? It's okay, I'll support you. Your abs look amazing. Can I touch them?" I kept a dark expression the whole time, saying nothing. Once we reached the warehouse, I restrained her, tied her to a chair with a rope I'd prepared, and gagged her. Throughout the entire process, not only did she not struggle, but she also looked shy, her eyes hazy with infatuation. I felt less like a kidnapper and more like a bandit king stealing a bride. MMPH, MMPH. She tried to speak through the gag. I pulled the cloth down and asked impatiently, "What?" She took a deep breath and asked with a face full of anticipation, "Are we role-playing? A kidnapping game? You're amazing. So professional." My temple throbbed. I pointed at her and enunciated every word. "Miss, this is not a game. This is a kidnapping. Guy den up and gay. I want $10 million, or I kill the hostage." She froze for a second, then erupted into an even more excited scream. "Oh my God, 10 million. You're so bold. I love you so much." I gave up trying to communicate with her. This woman was certifiably insane. Now, she was stealing my scene again. I took a deep breath and spoke coldly into the phone. "Mr. Sterling, it seems your daughter isn't cooperating. You have 10 minutes. If the money isn't in my account, you'll regret the consequences." I hung up and glared viciously at Chloe. She wasn't scared at all. Instead, she winked at me, wiggled her bound body, and whined, "Ouch, it's too tight. My hands are numb. Rub them for me, please." I looked at her expressionlessly. "Hostages don't have human rights." "But I'm your future wife," she pouted. "Hubby, just rub them for me." The word hubby struck me like a bolt of lightning. Before I transmigrated, I was a perpetually single corporate drone. How could I handle this level of assault? I felt my face heat up and turned my back to her, feigning calm. "Shut up." "Oh," she responded aggrievedly, but quickly muttered under her breath. "Hubby is so fierce, but so manly. I like it." I covered my ears. I couldn't do this anymore. Fortunately, Arthur Sterling was efficient. In less than 10 minutes, my phone pinged with a bank notification. A long string of zeros. Exactly 10 million. I let out a long sigh of relief. Plan accomplished. I walked over to Chloe and untied the ropes. All right, money received. You can go. She rubbed her red wrists, stood up, and stretched. I thought she would run away immediately or call the police. Instead, she hugged my arm, draping her entire body over me. Hubby, we're rich now. Where are we going? The Maldives for our honeymoon. Or should we go to my house to meet my dad first? I tried to peel her off me, but she stuck like super glue. Who is your hubby? The transaction is done, leave. No. She buried her face in my chest, her voice muffled. You kidnapped me, so you have to be responsible for me for the rest of my life. I'm sticking with you forever. Just then, my useless phone rang again. It was Arthur Sterling. I took a deep breath, answered, and tried to keep my voice cold. I got the money. I'll let her go. Let her go. Arthur's voice held a trace of confusion. But she's right next to me. She says, she wants to marry you. Me? I looked down at the woman, smiling sweetly in my arms, then at the phone. Arthur is right next to you? I snapped my head up and scanned the surroundings. The empty warehouse was devoid of life, except for me and Chloe. Mr. Sterling, this joke isn't funny. From the phone, Chloe's crisp, whining voice echoed out. Dad, I'm not joking. I'm right here. I'm using his phone to call you. I've decided I'm marrying him. Get the dowry ready. Oh, and treat that 10 million as the engagement gift. Me. I looked at the phone in my hand, then at Chloe. When did she swipe my phone? Wait, that's not the point. The point is, I'm stuck with this hostage. Chloe Sterling. I squeezed her name out through gritted teeth. Yes, hubby, I'm here. She chirped bright and loud. I felt my blood pressure skyrocketing. Give me back my phone. I reached for it. She dodged nimbly, holding the phone high, grinning. No, not unless you agree to marry me. Keep dreaming. Then I'll tell my dad you loved me and left me. You took the money and tried to run, she accused righteously. I was so angry I almost laughed. Loved and left? We never even started. Arthur Sterling. I roared at the phone. Control your daughter. On the other end, Arthur remained silent for a moment before speaking in a very peculiar tone. Young man, my daughter has been spoiled by us in childhood. Her personality is a bit lively, but since she set her sights on you, it implies you have some exceptional qualities. Exceptional qualities? Does kidnapping count? How about this? Arthur continued. I'll give you another 10 million. No, 20 million. You bring my daughter back safely. Consider the previous 10 million as compensation for your mental distress. 20 million. My heart skipped a beat. With the previous 10 million, that was $30 million. I wouldn't have to worry about money for the rest of my life. I looked at Chloe. She resembled a walking bank vault. Deal. I agreed without hesitation. No. Chloe screamed, snatching the phone back. Dad, how can you try to buy my love with money? I'm telling you, I won't marry anyone but him. If you dare try to stop us, I'll. Her eyes darted around before she said viciously, I'll have him kill the hostage. The line went dead silent again. Even I was shaken by her earth-shattering statement. Lady, have you ever seen a hostage demand their own execution? Chloe. Arthur's voice sounded exhausted. Stop messing around. I'm not messing around. Chloe's eyes reddened, her voice trembling with tears. He's the first man I've ever felt this way about. He's so cool, so stylish. Even though he's poor, he has ambition. For me, he dared to kidnap me, dared to demand 10 million from you. That kind of boldness. Do any of those weak trust fund babies you introduced to me have it? I listened, dumbfounded. So, in her eyes, I kidnapped her because I loved her? How exactly was her brain wired? Hubby. Chloe hung up the phone, looking at me with teary eyes. Do you despise me? Do you think my family is too rich and I'm not good enough for you? I opened my mouth, momentarily at a loss for words. The plot had spiraled completely out of my control. You, just calm down first. I tried to soothe her. I won't calm down. She threw herself into my arms, hugging my waist tightly, burying her face in my chest, and wailing. I don't care. You have to marry me today, or I'll die right here in front of you. Feeling the warm, soft body in my arms and the faint fragrance she wore, my perpetually single heart, from both my past and present life, shamefully sped up. But reason told me this was a massive problem. Marry the richest man's daughter? You gotta be kidding. Arthur Sterling would grind my bones to dust. Let go of me first. I tried to push her away, but she held on for dear life. No, if I let go, you'll run. While we were struggling, the warehouse doors were kicked open with a thunderous boom. Dozens of burly men in black suits and sunglasses flooded in, surrounding us. Leading them was a middle-aged man with a stern face and an overpowering aura. He looked at me like I was already dead. Let go of my daughter. My heart sank. It was over. That old fox Arthur called the cops. No, wait, not cops. These were Sterling family bodyguards. I immediately raised my hands in surrender. Misunderstanding. This is all a misunderstanding. But Chloe acted like she saw a savior. Instead of letting go, she hugged me tighter. Dad, perfect timing. Let me introduce you. This is my husband, Jack Miller. She pointed at me, announcing it with pride. Dead silence. Every bodyguard's gaze stabbed into me like knives. Arthur Sterling's eternal poker face finally cracked. He stared at me intently, as if trying to bore holes through me. Chloe, come here. No. Chloe shook her head vigorously. Dad, I said I'm marrying him. You have to agree whether you like it or not. Arthur's face grew darker. He ignored his daughter and turned his gaze to me, speaking slowly. Kid, I'll give you two choices. 1, take the 10 million and vanish from the face of the earth. 2, he paused, a ruthless glint in his eyes. I wipe you from the face of the earth. A naked threat. I didn't doubt his ability to do it for a second. Survival instinct kicked in immediately. I choose option 1. No. Chloe shouted at the exact same time. I was frantic. Chloe, don't kill me. I don't want to die. She looked at me with determination. Hubby, don't be afraid. I'm here. My dad won't dare touch you. If you dare choose option 1, I'll die in front of him right now. Saying that, she pulled a fruit knife from somewhere and held it to her own neck. The blade glinted coldly under the warehouse lights. I was scared out of my wits. Lady, don't be rash. Put the knife down. Arthur's face changed too. He shouted nervously. Chloe, don't do anything stupid. Then promise me. Let me marry him. Chloe cried out. The situation was deadlocked. I looked at this woman who was threatening suicide to marry me, feeling a mix of emotions. Touched? Maybe a little, but mostly shock and absurdity. What was happening? Just then, a voice as cold as ice and snow drifted in from the entrance. Truly, a wonderful show. I looked toward the sound and saw a woman in a white business suit walking in slowly. She was breathtakingly beautiful, but her eyes were layered with unmelting frost, making it hard to look directly at her. When she saw Chloe and me hugging, a trace of imperceptible disdain and disgust flashed through those cold eyes. Alarm bells rang in my head. I knew this person. She was the original owner's ex-fiancée, the CEO of Frost Enterprises, Victoria Frost. A woman who looked down on me, considered me a worthless piece of trash, and had insisted on breaking our engagement. Why was she here? Victoria's arrival turned the atmosphere even more bizarre. She was like a walking iceberg. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees wherever she went. Arthur saw her and frowned slightly, clearly surprised. Ms. Frost, what brings you here? Victoria didn't answer him. Her gaze remained locked on me, the contempt in her eyes undisguised. Jack Miller, I still underestimated you. I didn't expect that on top of gambling and debauchery, you've now added kidnapping and extortion to your resume. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was like an ice pick stabbing straight into my heart. Although she was despising the original owner, I was Jack Miller now, and it felt damn unpleasant. Sister Victoria? Chloe saw Victoria, froze for a moment, then immediately entered combat mode like she was facing a love rival. She hugged me tighter, puffing out her chest in a show of dominance. This is my man. What are you doing here? The corner of Victoria's mouth curled into a mocking arc, as if she'd heard the world's biggest joke. Your man? Chloe, your taste remains as unique as ever. She looked me up and down, her gaze like she was inspecting a pile of garbage. A piece of trash I threw away, and you picked him up like a treasure? You. Chloe's face flushed red with anger. Shut up. My husband isn't trash. He's better than all the men you've ever met. Better? Better at kidnapping methods, or better at living off women. Victoria's tongue was lethal. I couldn't listen anymore, although I don't want to admit it. Right now, Chloe and I were on the same team. I gently patted Chloe's back, signaling her to calm down. Then I looked up, met Victoria's gaze, and said calmly, Ms. Frost, our engagement is already annulled. My business is no longer your concern. My calmness seemed to surprise Victoria. In her memory, I was supposed to be a buffoon who would fly into a rage when poked in a sore spot. She narrowed her eyes, reevaluating me. Jack, don't think you can reach the heavens just by clinging to the Sterling family. Mud can't support a wall. With that, she pulled a check from her bag and tossed it lightly in front of me. Here is $5 million. Take the money, get out of New York, and never appear again. Her tone was like dismissing a beggar. I looked at the check on the ground and smiled. Ms. Frost, are you mistaken? Your $5 million compared to Mr. Sterling's $20 million seems lacking in competitiveness. I deliberately brought up Arthur's offer. Sure enough, Victoria's expression shifted slightly. Arthur's face grew even darker. He hadn't expected me to use his own words to raise my price right in front of him. You have a death wish. A bodyguard roared and lunged forward. Stop. Arthur halted him. He gave me a deep, complicated look. There was anger, surprise, and a trace of scrutiny I couldn't quite read. Good. Very good. Arthur suddenly smiled, though the smile was terrifying. Since my daughter insists on you, and Ms. Frost cares so much about you, I'd like to see what skills you actually have. He shifted his tone and addressed me directly. Jack Miller, I'll give you a chance. From now on, you are Chloe's personal bodyguard and fiancé. What? Victoria and I exclaimed in unison. Chloe, however, cheered. Yay, Dad, you're the best. I love you. She grabbed my face and planted a huge kiss on me. I froze. Feeling the soft, warm sensation on my cheek, my mind went blank. I was forcibly kissed? Of course. Arthur's voice rang out again, laced with coldness. This fiancé role has a probation period. 3 months. Within 3 months, if you can't satisfy me, or if Chloe suffers the slightest grievance. He didn't finish the sentence, but the threat in his eyes said it all. I will show you what it means to wish for death. I shuddered. This wasn't a chance. It was a death warrant. Being a bodyguard and fiancé in the Sterling family, living under the nose of that old fox Arthur, every day, one wrong move, and he'd tear me to shreds. This was hell mode. I object. Victoria spoke coldly. Uncle Arthur, you can't be this rash. Handing Chloe over to him is too dangerous. Oh, Arthur raised an eyebrow. Is Ms. Frost worried about my daughter? Worried about your ex-fiancé? Victoria's face instantly went cold. Uncle Arthur, please be respectful. I just don't wish to see Chloe deceived by such scum. Whether he's scum or not, time will tell in 3 months. Arthur made the final decision, giving no one a chance to argue. He walked up to me and patted my shoulder, his grip strong enough to crush bone. Good luck, young man. With that, he turned and left with his bodyguards. The massive warehouse was left with just me, Chloe, and an icy-faced Victoria, and the lonely $5 million check on the floor. Chloe walked over, picked up the check, walked up to Victoria, and grinned. Sister Victoria, thanks for the wedding gift. We'll take it. She stuffed the check into my pocket. Victoria's expression was ugly in the extreme. She stared at me, her eyes filled with disappointment and disgust. Jack, you will regret this. She turned and left, her high heels clicking sharply on the concrete, never looking back. Ding! Just then, a mechanical electronic voice suddenly sounded in my mind. Ding! Detected host has completed a lying down kidnapping. Activating the ultimate slacker system. System activation rewards. Physique enhancement, perfect body, 8-pack abs, Apollo's belt, master chef skills, all major cuisines, master mixology, spirits, wine, brewing. Newbie mission issued. Move into the Sterling mansion as Chloe's fiancé. Mission reward. $100 million cash, 10% shares of Sterling Global. I was stunned. A system? My standard transmigrated cheat code finally arrived, and it was a slacker system. I just have to lie flat to get stronger. I felt power surging through my body. My muscles, previously weak and sore, instantly filled with explosive strength. I subconsciously touched my stomach. Through the thin fabric, I could clearly feel rock-hard abs underneath. This was all real. Suppressing my inner ecstasy, I looked at Chloe beside me. She was staring at me like a lovesick puppy, practically drooling. Hubby, you were so handsome just now. I looked at her, then toward the warehouse exit. Move into the Sterling house. Become the future son-in-law of the richest man. This newbie mission didn't sound that hard. Isn't it just slacking off? I'm an expert at that. Let's go, I said, taking Chloe's hand. Home. MHM. She nodded heavily, her face beaming with happiness. Hubby, let's go home. The Sterling estate sat in the most exclusive area of the Hamptons, backed by mountains and facing the water, covering an area larger than a small park. When I followed Chloe through the wrought iron gates, I finally understood what obscene wealth meant. The lawn was manicured like a green carpet. Fountains shimmered with rainbows under the sun, and a team of uniformed staff stood respectfully at the entrance, chanting in unison, "Welcome home, miss." This pomp was more exaggerated than a royal procession. Hubby, this is our home. Do you like it? Chloe held my arm, introducing it proudly. I nodded, my heart calm. Just wait. I'm a man with a system, the future richest man in the world. A mere mansion is nothing. From now on, this is your home too, she added, her voice dripping with sweetness. Before I could respond, a middle-aged man who looked like a butler approached. Miss, you're back. The master is waiting for you in the study. His gaze swept over me with scrutiny and unwelcome. It seemed my position in the Sterling household wouldn't be very comfortable. Got it, Higgins, Chloe replied, pulling me inside. Hubby, let me take you to my room first. Wait, I stopped her. Isn't your dad waiting? It's fine. Let him wait, she said nonchalantly. No, I shook my head. Since we're living here, basic manners are required. Let's see your dad first. This was my strategy, to slack off effectively in the Sterling house. I couldn't let that old fox Arthur catch me slipping immediately. Feigning weakness to lower his guard was the best move. Seeing my insistence, Chloe reluctantly agreed and led me to the study. The door was ajar, and voices drifted out. Arthur and Victoria. Uncle Arthur, are you really handing Chloe over to him? He's a bum, a piece of trash. Victoria's voice was urgent. Victoria, I know you care about Chloe, but have you considered that in 20 years, this is the first time Chloe has cared so much about a man to the point of threatening suicide? Arthur's voice sounded calm. So what? She's just blinded by sweet talk. When she sees Jack's true colors, she'll regret it. Perhaps, Arthur sighed, but I also want to make a bet. This Jack Miller seems different from before. His performance in the warehouse today wasn't that of a useless idiot. He was acting. He just wants to climb the social ladder. Whether it's acting or not, time will prove everything. I'm keeping him under my nose. He can't pull any tricks. Arthur paused, then continued. Besides, don't you think this is interesting? Victoria fell silent. Standing outside the door, the corner of my mouth tilted up. Old fox, indeed testing me. Interesting? I hope you can still laugh later. I straightened my clothes and knocked lightly. Come in. I pushed the door open, Chloe trailing behind me. In the study, Arthur sat behind a massive mahogany desk, while Victoria stood to the side. Both looked at me. Mr. Sterling, Ms. Frost. I nodded politely, neither humble nor arrogant. My attitude made Victoria frown again. The Jack in her memory was a sycophant, flustered and clumsy around big shots like Arthur. The man in front of her was too calm. So calm he felt like a stranger. Dad, Sister Victoria, what are you chatting about? Chloe broke the silence, walking over to Arthur and acting spoiled. Nothing. Arthur waved his hand, turning his gaze to me. Jack, since you'll be living here, there are some rules I need to make clear. Please go ahead. First, as Chloe's fiancé, your primary task is protecting her safety and keeping her happy. If she loses a single hair, I'm holding you responsible. Second, during the probation period, you cannot have any behavior with Chloe that exceeds the boundaries of an engaged couple. You must sleep in separate rooms. Third, I will arrange a position for you at the company. You must go to work. The Sterling family's son-in-law cannot be an idler. Listening to these 3 rules, I understood. Rule 1, warning. Rule 2, prevention. Rule 3, test. The old fox calculated everything step by step. No problem, I agreed readily. Dad, Chloe protested. Why separate rooms? We're engaged. Exactly because you're engaged, you need separate rooms. Arthur glared at her. Wait until you're actually married. Chloe pouted aggrievedly. Victoria, standing aside, smiled coldly. She knew Arthur wouldn't truly accept this waste. This was all a game of watching a monkey dance. And I was the monkey. All right, it's settled. Arthur stood up. Higgins will arrange your room and work. I'm tired. You may leave. Chloe and I walked out of the study. She kicked the carpet unhappily. Hubby, that is too much. We could clearly be together. I smiled and patted her head. It's okay, it's just 3 months. It'll pass quickly. My comfort worked. She immediately brightened up and held my arm again. MHM, hubby, you're so good. Come, I'll take you to see my room. In your room, next door. Higgins had arranged a room for me next to Chloe's bedroom. It was large, luxuriously decorated, infinitely better than the doghouse I lived in before. But I wasn't satisfied. Higgins, can I change rooms? Higgins paused, then revealed a slight, mocking smile. Mr. Miller, this is the master's arrangement. Are you dissatisfied? Not exactly dissatisfied. I pointed to the soft Western-style bed and the wine on the bar. I'm not used to soft beds, and I don't like wine. Also, I need a bigger kitchen. I like cooking for myself. The contempt on Higgins' face deepened. A freeloader with so many demands. Mr. Miller, we have a top-tier chef team. You don't need to lift a finger. As for the bed and wine, you'll get used to them. His tone was perfunctory. That won't do. I shook my head firmly. If my requirements can't be met, I'll have to sleep on the sofa, or go squeeze into Chloe's room. I was making a naked threat. Higgins' face changed. If I actually ran into Chloe's room and Arthur found out, he'd be the one in trouble. You wait here. He glared at me and turned to report to Arthur. Not long after, Higgins returned, looking unhappy, to tell me the master agreed. He moved me to a guest room on the first floor. It wasn't as large as the upstairs room, but it had a firm mattress and a small kitchenette attached. I nodded in satisfaction. Before crossing over, I was just a regular guy who liked working out and cooking. The system's cooking and mixology skills came in handy. I didn't want to change my lifestyle just to please the Sterling family. Slacking meant being comfortable. That was the essence of lying down. That evening, I used the ingredients in the kitchenette to make myself a simple dinner. A plate of spicy Cajun pasta, a side of sautéed greens, and some garlic bread. Simple, but with the god-level cooking skill, the taste was phenomenal. The pasta was perfectly al dente. The sauce a complex harmony of spice, cream, and savory depth. Just as I was digging in, there was a knock on the door. It was Chloe. She poked her head in, sniffing the air, her eyes lighting up. "Hubby, what are you eating? It smells so good." She ran in like a little glutton. Seeing the food on the table, she practically drooled. "You made this?" She looked at me in disbelief. "Yeah, just threw it together." "Wow. Hubby, you're amazing. Let me taste." She grabbed my fork and took a bite. The next second, her eyes widened. "MMPH. So good. Hubby, this is the best pasta I've ever eaten." She started devouring the food like a whirlwind. Watching her satisfied expression, I smiled and pushed the bowl toward her. "Slow down. No one's fighting you for it." "No, it's too delicious. Hubby, will you cook for me every day?" She looked up, eyes full of expectation. "Sure. Yay." She cheered happily, then, remembering something, pulled a small box from behind her back. "By the way, Hubby, I have a gift for you." I opened the box. Inside were two exquisite kittens, a rag doll and a golden British shorthair. The two fur balls were curled up together, sleeping soundly, cute enough to melt a heart. "This is our token of love." Chloe giggled. "The rag doll is named Netflix. That's for you. The British shorthair is named Chill. That's mine. From now on, we each take one, and let them live together for us." Netflix and Chill. These names, they were tailor-made for me. I looked at the two fluffy creatures in the box, then at the girl smiling like a flower in front of me. A soft spot in my heart was gently touched. Maybe slacking off in the Sterling house wouldn't be so boring after all. The next morning, I was woken up by a meow. Opening my eyes, I saw Netflix's fluffy face right in front of me, blue eyes studying me curiously. Next to it, Chill was pawing at its ear. These two little guys had somehow escaped their separate beds and huddled together while I slept. Really, closer than the humans. I chuckled and got up to wash. The system's physique enhancement was incredible. I'd only slept 6 hours, but felt bursting with energy. In the mirror, I took off my shirt. A clearly defined 8-pack and Apollo's belt were on full display. This body, it was model quality. I changed into the casual suit the Sterling family prepared and went downstairs. In the dining room, Arthur was already at the head of the table reading a newspaper, wearing a traditional silk jacket, looking imposing without speaking. Chloe sat next to him, playing with Chill in her lap. Seeing me, she immediately waved happily. "Hubby, good morning." That hubby made every servant in the dining room look at me. Their eyes held curiosity, disdain, and mockery. I accepted all the gazes calmly, walked to Chloe, and naturally patted her head. "Morning." My action made Chloe blush instantly, and Arthur's gaze darken. I pulled out a chair opposite Chloe, sat down, and took a sip of milk. "Jack." Arthur lowered the newspaper. "Starting today, you go to the company." "Okay. What position?" "Marketing department, deputy director. Not too high, not too low. Just right. It let me touch the core business without giving me real power." "Old fox." "No problem." I nodded. Arthur seemed satisfied with my obedience. He nodded and continued. "Also, tonight there's a gala at the house. I've invited business partners and friends. I will formally introduce you to everyone." I knew exactly what this introduction meant. It was a setup. A red wedding, without the blood, maybe. He wanted to see if I, the dancing monkey, would trip in front of everyone. Understood, father-in-law. That father-in-law made the corner of Arthur's mouth twitch. Chloe giggled on the side. After breakfast, Arthur sent a driver to take me to the company. Chloe wanted to come, but a glare from Arthur stopped her. "Hubby, good luck. I'll wait for you tonight." She kissed my cheek before reluctantly letting me go. I arrived at the Sterling Global Headquarters, a skyscraper piercing the clouds in Midtown. The HR manager had been notified and respectfully led me to the marketing department. "Director King, this is the new Deputy Director Miller, personally arranged by the chairman." Director King, a balding middle-aged man, heard personally arranged by the chairman, and immediately plastered on a fawning smile. Ah, Director Miller, young and promising. Welcome, welcome. He showed me around enthusiastically. The employees looked at me with curiosity, whispering about my background. Heard about him? He's the boss's future son-in-law. Really? Him? Looks pretty average. Sure. He came in the chairman's private car. I ignored the gossip and went into my office. It wasn't huge, but the view was great, overlooking the city. Director King gave me a brief rundown and tactfully left. I turned on the computer to familiarize myself with the business. Honestly, I knew nothing about marketing. The original owner was a useless trust fund baby, but I didn't panic. I had the system. Ding. Detected host starting work. Triggering zone out mode. Mode effect. While working, host gains 100x learning efficiency. Any professional knowledge is instantly understood and mastered. Looking at the complex reports and plans on the screen, my brain instantly formed clear pathways. Obscure terminology became as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. In 2 hours, I reviewed all marketing projects from the last 3 years. And I found plenty of problems. Sterling Global was an industry leader, but their marketing was too conservative, lacking innovation. I jotted down a few optimization plans, printed them, and prepared to give them to Director King later. Just then, the office door pushed open. Victoria walked in. She wore a sharp black suit today, hair pinned up high, looking even more capable and cold. Jack Miller, we need to talk. Ms. Frost graces me with her presence. What can I do for you? I leaned back in my chair, looking at her leisurely. What exactly do you want? She cut straight to the chase. What is your motive for approaching Chloe? Motive. I laughed. Isn't it obvious? I want to be the Sterling family's son-in-law. In your dreams. Victoria's eyes went cold. I won't let you succeed. Oh, how do you plan to stop me? I asked with interest. Jack, I know you. You're greedy, lazy, and averse to work. Mister, Sterling's company isn't a place for someone like you. You'll expose yourself soon enough. Is that so? We'll see. I shrugged indifferently. My attitude made Victoria feel powerless. She realized she couldn't read this man anymore. He wasn't the useless trash she remembered. He was confident, composed, even a little dangerous. This is the proposal for the new collaboration between Frost Enterprises and Sterling Global. Victoria tossed a file onto my desk. Uncle Arthur wants you involved. She paused, adding, this project is vital to me. I'm warning you, don't mess it up. I picked up the proposal and flipped through it. The plan was detailed and logical. Clearly, Victoria had put in effort, but in the eyes of my expert mode, it was full of holes. Ms. Frost, I put the file down. This proposal, it's no good. Victoria's face instantly darkened. What did you say? I said, there are too many loopholes. It's not feasible. If we execute this, I guarantee your project will bleed money. My words were like a slap in the face. Who was Victoria Frost? A business prodigy, CEO at a young age, never failed. And now I, the trash, was telling her she was wrong? Jack, what do you know? Her chest heaved with anger. You can't even read a financial statement. What qualifies you to judge my plan? You'll know soon enough. I picked up a pen and circled several areas on her document. First, your market research data is outdated. You ignore the rise of the new Gen Z demographic. Second, your cost budget is too idealistic. You completely failed to account for supply chain risks. Third, your marketing strategy is stale. It won't grab anyone's attention. I pointed out every flaw, hitting the nail on the head each time. Victoria went from anger to shock, then to disbelief. She looked at me like I was a monster. She had considered some of these issues, but rationalized them away. I pointed them all out mercilessly. How is this possible? How do you know this? She asked, her voice dry. I dabble. I pushed the marked-up proposal back to her. Fix it like I said, and maybe this project can be saved. Victoria stared at my handwriting and the incisive comments, speechless for a long time. Her worldview was taking a massive hit. Was this man really the Jack Miller she knew? Victoria left looking like she'd lost her soul. She clutched the proposal I'd modified, her steps stumbling slightly, as if her faith had crumbled. Watching her leave, I felt great. That's what you get for looking down on me. Is this the thrill of winning while doing nothing? I love it. At dusk, I clocked out on time. The Sterling driver was waiting. Back at the mansion, the atmosphere was totally different from the morning. Lights were blazing. People were everywhere. A massive social scene. Men and women in expensive clothes held wine glasses, weaving through the crowd, laughing and chatting. Arthur's setup had begun. The moment I walked in, Chloe fluttered over like a butterfly. She wore a pink princess dress, hair curled, makeup exquisite, a living doll. Hubby, you're back. She hugged my arm happily and kissed my cheek. This intimate move instantly drew the room's attention. Everyone stopped talking and looked at us. Chloe, who is this? A sharply dressed young man walked over. His eyes scanned me with hostility. This was Bryce Harper, scion of another wealthy New York family, and one of Chloe's many suitors. He's my husband, Jack Miller, Chloe announced proudly. Husband? Bryce's smile froze. Chloe, stop joking. When did you get married? I didn't know. Well, now you know. Chloe linked her arm in mine, looking at him provocatively. Bryce's face turned ugly. He looked at me with disdain. Mr. Miller, is it? Where do you work? Checking my background already. Before I could speak, Chloe jumped in. My husband works at our company now. He's the deputy director of marketing. Sterling Global's deputy director? Bryce paused, then laughed. So, a pretty boy climbing the ladder through a woman. His voice wasn't loud, but enough for people around to hear. Stifled snickers rippled through the crowd. Chloe's face turned red with anger. Bryce, shut up. Am I wrong? Bryce spread his hands. Everyone knows Sterling Global's marketing VP needs an extensive resume and shocking track record. Mr. Miller here. Forgive my ignorance, but I've never heard your name. Others chimed in. Yeah, never heard of him. Look at his clothes. Doesn't look like elite material. Probably a scammer who tricked the heiress. The whispers buzzed like flies. I wasn't angry at all. The villain's mockery is just the prelude to the protagonist's face-slapping. It's the law of the genre. I squeezed Chloe's hand to calm her, then smiled at Bryce. Mr. Harper is right. I really wasn't famous before. But starting today, you will all remember my name. My confidence annoyed Bryce. Big talk, he sneered. Let's see if you have the skills to back it up. Just then, Arthur walked over with a wine glass. Everyone quiet down. The room went silent. I invited you all here today to announce something. Arthur cleared his throat, pulling Chloe and me to the center. Starting today, Jack Miller is my daughter Chloe's fiancé. His words dropped like a bomb. What? Has Mr. Sterling lost it? What luck did this kid have? I don't accept it. How am I worse than him? Especially the rich heirs eyeing Chloe. They looked ready to eat me. Bryce's face was the color of liver. Uncle Arthur, isn't this too rash? Chloe's marriage given to a nobody. Bryce was the first to object. Yeah, Mr. Sterling, think twice. He doesn't look like a good guy. Facing the doubts, Arthur remained impassive. This was the effect he wanted. He wanted to see how I handled the pressure. If I couldn't take this, I didn't belong here. I stepped forward, shielding Chloe. I looked around and spoke clearly. I understand everyone's feelings. After all, everyone wants to marry a girl as amazing as Chloe. My words soothed the egos of the rich kids slightly. But I shifted tone. Matters of the heart can't be forced. Chloe chose me not because I'm excellent, but simply because we are truly in love. I looked at Chloe affectionately. She immediately played along, looking happy and shy, leaning her head on my shoulder. Our display of affection blinded all the single people in the room. Truly in love. Bryce sneered. Sounds nice. Who knows if you're just after the Sterling money? Exactly. Just for the money. Gold digger. I sighed, looking helpless. I knew you'd think that. It's understandable. Before I met Chloe, I was just a broke guy. I started my sob story. I never dreamed a heavenly girl like Chloe would love me. To be with me, she was willing to cut ties with her family. I spun the tale without blushing. Did you know? Yesterday, to elope with her, I kidnapped her and asked Mr. Sterling for a $10 million ransom. The crowd went into an uproar. Everyone looked at me like I was insane. Who exposes their own kidnapping and extortion crimes? Even Arthur's mouth twitched. This kid wasn't playing by the rules. You see, I spread my hands. I'm a man willing to take risks for love. And Chloe is a girl willing to brave anything for love. Our feelings. You people who measure love by money and status will never understand. My deep confession almost moved me. Chloe was teary-eyed, hugging me. Hubby, you're the best. I chose right. The guests were confused. They came to see a joke, but got fed a mouthful of dog food. Especially the young girls. Their eyes were practically sparkling. Wow, so romantic. Eloping for love. This Jack Miller is poor, but so responsible. Way better than Bryce, who just throws money around. Public opinion was shifting. Bryce was turning green. He hadn't expected me to flip the script with a few words. Nonsense, he shouted. That's not love. That's a crime. Mr. Harper, I looked at him coldly. What happens between Chloe and me is private. Mr. Sterling hasn't pressed charges, so what gives you the right to judge? You, Bryce choked. Just then, a cool voice rang out. He has no right, but what about me? Victoria walked over slowly with a glass of red wine. Her entrance grabbed everyone's attention. The Ice Queen's aura was unmatched. Ms. Frost, Sister Victoria, Bryce and Chloe spoke simultaneously. Victoria ignored them, her gaze fixed on me. Jack, you really opened my eyes. You can argue black into white. She walked up to me and handed me the wine glass. Since you and Chloe are truly in love, as your ex-fiancé, I should offer a toast. Her words caused another stir. Ex-fiancé? He's Victoria's ex? My God, this is messy. Everyone looked at the three of us with relish. Ex versus current. The ultimate drama. I looked at the glass Victoria offered, narrowing my eyes. This wine probably wasn't simple. I took the glass, looking at the scarlet liquid, and smiled. Thank you for the blessing, Ms. Frost. I moved to drink it. Don't drink. Chloe and Victoria shouted at the same time. Chloe looked anxious, snatching the glass from me and eyeing Victoria warily. What are you doing? Trying to poison my husband. Victoria's face, however, was pale. She looked at me with complicated eyes. The wine has a problem. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, what problem? Bryce gave me this wine just now. I suspect he put something in it. Victoria's voice was low. Everyone's eyes snapped to Bryce. His face went sheet white. You're lying. I didn't, he stammered in panic. Whether you did or not, we can check. I swirled the wine and turned to Arthur. Father-in-law, for my safety, I think we need a doctor to test this. Arthur nodded and ordered Higgins to get the family doctor. Bryce panicked completely. He pointed at Victoria, screaming, "It was her. She told me to do it. She said she hates Jack and wanted to teach him a lesson." Victoria swayed, her face turning even paler. She hadn't expected Bryce to bite back. I didn't, she defended, but her voice sounded weak. The crowd's look changed. A scorned ex-fiancé seeking revenge? The script made sense. I looked at Victoria in her predicament and laughed internally. She dug her own grave. She could have warned me earlier, but waited until the last second, hoping to see me squirm or test me. Now she was trapped. The doctor arrived quickly. The test result: massive amounts of sedatives. Not lethal, but enough to knock a grown man out for 2 days. If I had drunk it, I would have been the laughingstock of New York tonight. Arthur's face was dripping with gloom. This happening on his turf was a slap in his face. Bryce, he said coldly to the trembling man. From today on, all cooperation between Sterling and Harper families is terminated. I don't want to see you in New York again. Bryce fell to his knees begging, but bodyguards dragged him out. With Bryce gone, Arthur turned to Victoria. Victoria, you owe me an explanation. Victoria's lips moved, but she couldn't speak. She was framed perfectly. Everyone believed she instigated it. Just as she was despairing, I spoke up. Father-in-law, I believe this has nothing to do with Ms. Frost. My words stunned everyone, including Victoria. She looked up at me in disbelief. I was helping her? Oh, Arthur looked at me with interest. Why? Because I smiled and walked to Victoria's side. She is the mother of my 2 children. She wouldn't harm me. Dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone's jaws hit the floor. Chloe's mouth formed in O, her brain short-circuiting. Arthur's eye twitched uncontrollably. And Victoria, she was completely petrified. Her eyes screamed. What the hell are you talking about? Ignoring the reaction, I continued my performance. I held Victoria's cold hand, looking deep in her eyes. Victoria, I know you're still mad at me. Mad that I left you and the kids to pursue my dreams. But please believe me, you've always been in my heart. I came back to make it up to you. He winked at her discreetly. Victoria finally snapped out of it. She didn't know what game I was playing, but she knew it was her only way out. Her eyes reddened, and tears flowed. Oscar-worthy acting. Jack, you bastard. She punched my chest lightly, weeping beautifully. You finally came back. Do you know how much the kids and I missed you? Our tear-jerking scene left everyone dumbfounded. So it wasn't a revenge plot, but a prodigal son return story? Chloe's face turned pale. She watched our joined hands, tears welling up. Hubby, is what she said true? You guys have children. I saw the hurt in her eyes and felt a pang of guilt. But the show had to go on. I turned, looking at Chloe with regret. Chloe, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you despise my past. Chloe's tears fell. She covered her mouth and ran out of the room. Chloe, Arthur chased after her immediately. The party broke up on a sour note. The guests left satisfied, bellies full of gossip. Soon, only Victoria and I were left in the massive living room. Talk. What is your game? Victoria shook off my hand, asking coldly. Saving you. I shrugged. What else? Did you want to carry the blame for poisoning your ex? Victoria fell silent. She knew I was right. Without me, Her reputation would be ruined. Why help me? Because I need an ally. I looked at her seriously. Arthur Sterling is an old fox. He's hard to deal with. I can't play against him alone. So you want to drag me down with you? She realized my intent instantly. Not down. It's a win-win. I smiled. You don't want to see Chloe actually marry a waste like me, right? We cooperate, keep acting, and get what we need. Deal. Victoria looked at me, eyes flickering. She had to admit the offer was tempting. Why should I trust you? Because right now, I'm the only one who can clear your name, I said confidently. Victoria pondered for a long time. Finally, she nodded. Fine, I agree. But you must guarantee you won't hurt Chloe. Deal. We formed a temporary alliance. But neither of us expected that this act would eventually become more and more real. And the relationship between us would quietly shift through one cooperation after another. Story complete.